It is a wonderful morning to take a walk with Father Jeff Walker from St. Thomas More, Bowling Green.
I'm walking.
Morning, Father. How are you?
I am living the dream in Bowling Green. How are you guys?
We're doing great. Thank you, Father. Looking forward to spending some time with you today, and then looking forward to spending time with you next Friday as we conduct our on-air share-a-thon, which you've been a part of for some time now. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. For probably a decade now. I don't know if I think right from the beginning, when we were still in Deacon Mike's house on his sort of carpeted dining room table.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
those were the days.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I always actually do look forward to that because I love hearing all the priests who are not normally on the radio come in and talk about what's going on and hear them interact with the host. So I think it'll be fun for everybody.
Yeah, it should be wonderful, and we're so thankful for all the successful share-a-thons that came before this one, and completely trust and are confident that this one will go well as well.
And this one will be your third location for Share-a-thon, because you were at Deacon Mike and Chris's house, and then you were on Rugby Drive, and now you're going to be coming over here to Camelot Salon. So, yeah.
That's right. You guys keep your cell phones on next week in case I get lost, I tell you what.
And I did want to let you know, Father, I'm happy to work out a special deal with one of the hairstylists here if you need. Oh, never mind. All right, so it's Father Jeff Walker.
Wow.
I'm in the same boat.
On the radio is a very neat thing to pull off. Really.
Yeah.
That's right, yes.
I don't know what kind of broadcast awards go to amateur comedians on Cast Radio, but I'd be happy to submit your name.
If there were such an award, that is the one we would win.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, Ben, quite a week. I was thinking towards the end of your reflection, how that sort of your gospel reflection today, how that sort of matched up with my reflection post-election this week. There's a great book called From Christendom to Apostolic Mission that was written, I think, 2 years ago. And it's a great, eye-opener to the current state of the church in the world, and in particular in America. And you know what? You said that we do not live in a Christian place. We live in a place where people need to hear the gospel for the first time. That I was just reminded of that this week when I was certainly disappointed at the Ohio election results, and many of my parishioners shared that same anger and disappointment. And I think the anger, I think the disappointment is good, but not to be surprised that we shouldn't believe that people who live in a fallen world and who do not know the gospel of Christ would act any differently. This is precisely why the Lord came. Right. So far be it from me to always look for what is the positive message here. But the positive message is that we do have an answer to what ails us, that we do have the medicine that society needs, and that's the gospel. And we shouldn't be frustrated that people don't know the gospel. We shouldn't be surprised that they don't know the gospel, because if we're not going to tell it to them, how are they going to know? Amen. So it sort of renewed me in that ministry, which is at the core of what we do, of preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, the love of God for every human being. But it served as sort of a check on myself too. Like, am I really surprised in a fallen world that people would behave like fallen people? And I guess I shouldn't. That shouldn't be a surprise to me. And it's sort of a renewal of the call to preach that core gospel, that kerygma, because I take for granted that people know it. I've grown up with it all my life. I'm surrounded by it. It's easy for Christians to think, well, everyone, of course, thinks this way. Everyone, of course, sees the value and dignity of every human being. But the story of the history of the world, starting with of the fallen world, starting with Cain and Abel, tells us that it is not in our fallen human nature to recognize the dignity of other people, and this is why the Lord has come.
You gotta love that too. And look, I mourn the fact that we are heading in that direction. I mourn the fact that so many people aren't aware of the value of life. I mourn the fact that so many people don't know the Lord. But actually, if the Lord had given me an opportunity as to when to live, I would choose this kind of time where I could actually go out and preach the gospel to a group of people who had never heard it and really introduce them to Christ for the first time?
It is a joyful work, this age of apostolic mission, and it's certainly an age of suffering and an age of martyrdom as well. But it really rekindles the fire of the gospel and the fire of the truth in the hearts of believers if we will allow the Lord to do that in us, if we're allowed to see it that way. I know I've seen that among the college students who were certainly very animated, and I was very proud of the college students that worked so hard to defend the dignity of life and to talk with their fellow students who were sometimes hostile to what they had to say, and who persevered in that. When, I just sort of think of my college years, and I'm like, I probably would have just sort of, not bothered. Maybe about this I would have, but about so many things, I'm like, I'm just going to keep my head down and do my own thing. I was so proud that they didn't do that. But even among them, I would see conversations with, well, I don't know if we should say these things to people who don't want to hear them because that might make them uncomfortable, or that might make them feel bad. And I just saw, as these conversations played out amongst them, and I was sort of eavesdropping on that, among many of the students to say, no, this is the whole reason why we are who we are and why Christ has called us is to preach this good news. And yeah, it's going to make people uncomfortable, and it's gonna call people to stretch and grow, but that's our mission. And so I was excited to see even the younger generation know that, sense that this is a call and this is a mission.
It's good to see the zeal in these young people.
Absolutely.
Well, Father Walker, we'll talk to you in person on Friday next week.
See you next week.
This is Nancy Cook. You are listening to Annunciation Radio, Faith with Frequency.